Hello, everyone, and welcome to It's Always Sunny in Phoenix, a weekly podcast where we keep you up to date on everything Phoenix Suns basketball. Today, we're going to tell you what we think the Suns' New Year's resolutions should be, and then we'll recap and preview some games. I'm Charlie, and it's just me and Mitch here today. Happy New Year's, buddy. How's it going?
Good. Happy New Year to you too. 2017, pretty exciting time. But yeah, starting off on the right foot for sure.
That's right, and I guess we got to make a quip about David right away. Back to L.A. again. Has to miss this episode. The guy can't get enough.
And, that reminds me of something really important. And that's, we get a lot of questions about our T-shirts, where you can go to tpublic.com/user/sunnyandphx. That's TEE, the word public.com/user/sunnyandphx. People ask us about international shipping, but we also ship to LA. So if you live in LA, or if you're like David who goes to LA every other day or whatever it is, can still order a t-shirt, phone case, laptop cover, sweatshirt, long sleeve shirt, whatever you want, and send it to LA or Canada or wherever you live.
That's right. And man, LA, David, the Suns play the Clippers in LA tonight after we record here. And David's not going to that game. He's camped outside Dangelo Russell's condo downtown. He's got the he's got the whole 9 yards, and he just wants to see him. So, I mean, I hope he does, so he shuts up about it.
Yeah, just take the pictures of him. But what I've heard is that his ultimate goal is to smell him up close. So
just like armpit, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. So
yeah.
I mean, maybe he can catch him like coming back from the practice facility or something. I don't know, but
that would be prime time for what David's looking for, I think. But anyways, you guys need to get a hold of us on social media, and especially David, to give him some crap about his Lakers fandom. So hit us up on Twitter at Sunny and PHX Pod. Check out our Facebook under the name Phoenix Suns, multiple sources. Our email is sunnyandphxpod@gmail.com. And, of course, check out the website at sunnyandphxpod.com. All right, let's hop into some game recaps. And we're going to start with the game in Houston against the Rockets. And this was the second meeting within a week between the Rockets and Suns. And this game didn't end up much differently than the previous one. Rockets took the win, 131-115. So this is a game where the Suns gave up 107 points through the first three quarters. And just to put everything in perspective, the Suns had a big fourth quarter. They put up 35. And if the Suns were able to keep the Rockets scoreless in that fourth quarter, like completely skunk them, we still would have only won by 8 points. So,
great.
And we all know the style of basketball the Rockets play. We miss that style, and they just put up a ton of points. But if we're giving up over 100 in the first three quarters of a game, not much of a chance to see our Suns pick up a W. And the Rockets were obviously led by the Beard, James Harden, picked up 32 points and dished out 12 assists. They shot 50% from the floor in this one, and they had 5 other guys in double figures. The Suns were led by their 3 guards in this one. Bledsoe put up 24, Brandon Knight with 21, and Devin Booker with 16. And it was tough to see Booker foul out so early in this one, but to find the silver lining for that, he's playing some aggressive defense. He's getting a little chippy, and that's just good to see. So now it's time for some stat of the game. Mitch, go for it.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this pretty quick because you're going to see a recurring theme throughout all the recaps today. But the Suns had 17 assists as a team, while Houston had 28, and Harden had 12 of those. So that's going to be tough. We are not very good at passing in general, I would say. So yeah, 17 assists, tough to win a game like that.
Right, and it especially stands out when you see a guy like Harden get those 12.
Right.
and the Rockets as a team pick up so many. You just see the difference while you're watching the game, and you're thinking, man, why can't we move the ball like that? So
Right. Exactly.
I hear you. All right, and for my stat of the game for this one, it's just going to be the stat line of Dragan Bender. Bender played a big 27 minutes, one off of his career high, scored a career high 11 points, snatched career highs with 13 rebounds and 3 assists also. And then he tied career highs with 2 blocks and 2 assists. So, really big night for the rookie there. We've all been waiting to see that. And to fast forward a little bit, he's been averaging 21 and a half minutes per game over the 4 games that we're recapping today. So I'm just really excited to see Bender get some of this playing time, even though it might be at the expense of Jared Dudley right now. But the main thing is Bender's getting more and more comfortable, and he looks like he's turning into a pro before our eyes right now.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to see. And the thing with Dudley is he's such a great team player that if his minutes go down or if he moves to a bench role, he's not going to mind. He knows why he's here. And he's not some dramatic diva player like we've had on the team in the past. Not to name any names, but it rhymes with Barkeef Boris. So, yeah, it's great to have Jared Dudley on the team. And he can still contribute, even if his minutes are diminished a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. He's shooting one of the best clips from 3 in the league this season. I'm not sure of the exact stat there, but I know he's putting it up with some efficiency.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see, or I'd like to think that these minutes, they should be taken away from PJ Tucker, but he has to be getting auditioned for a trade.
Right.
If you, like, in this game, we watched him guard Harden. And then if Leonard would have played in the Spurs game, he would have been guarding him. Raptors game, he's guarding DeRozan. And then Jazz game, Hayward. Like, he's hopefully we're just auditioning him, showing everyone what kind of defense the guy can play.
Right. Yep. 2 months from now, we could be having a completely different discussion about this.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to that Spurs game. And this one was in San Antonio. And after a great first half, the Suns just couldn't hold this one together and dropped the game by 21 points. Final score 119-98. The Suns put together some great runs in that first half, and they took a solid 64-58 lead into halftime, but turned around and were outscored by 27 in that second half. And the team only managed to put up 34 points in that second half. And it's pretty tough to expect a win from the Suns when you see Bledsoe only scoring 13 and Booker with 8. But the Suns did get some pretty solid production from some other guys in this one. TJ Warren came off the bench, played 34 minutes, and scored 23 points, while going 10 for 10 from the line. Knight put up 14 points with 5 assists, and Marquise Chris put up 13 points. And back to Bender a little bit. Nice to see him with back-to-back double-digit games. And as for the Spurs, Tony Parker and LaMarcus Aldridge picked up the slack for the Kawhi Leonard-less Spurs in this one. Aldridge went for 27 points on 10 for 12 shooting, and Parker was hot right from the start of this one, and he ended with 20. All right, stat of the game, Mitch.
Yeah, my stat of the game just goes back to what I talked about last time. We had 21 turnovers and 20 assists in this game. It's very, very tough to win a game when you turn the ball over more than you have assists, and this can't continue.
Right, and we'll be talking more about assists as we go, so we don't need to harp any more on that one. So for my stat of the game, I'm going to take a look at the rebounding stats. The Suns were out-rebounded by 14 against the Spurs, and it seems like they just always have our number on the boards when we get matched up. And a couple of things that I noticed, our 2 centers, Len and Chandler, played a combined 45 minutes and could only manage 12 rebounds, and that's only 2 more rebounds than Pau Gasol grabbed in his 29 minutes. And 16 of those rebounds by the Spurs came on the offensive end of the court, giving them way too many opportunities for second chance points. And one more note, we knew that Chris wasn't a great rebounder for a guy at the power forward position when we drafted him, but he only grabbed 2 boards in his 21 minutes. I just really like to see our bigs be more aggressive on the glass moving forward, and that's all I really have to say on that.
Yeah, yep. One thing about this game, too, going back to what you said about Bender, David has left us a little note, even though he's not here, but he mentions that Dragon Bender is the avatar. I assume he's referring to the M. Night Shyamalan movie Avatar: The Last Airbender. Not sure why that movie was horrible. So, yeah, whatever you're talking about there, David. He also says something like David is so cool, but yeah, whatever. He also leaves a note specifically about this game saying Texas sucks. And I want to beg to differ. I visited Galveston Island just off of Houston a couple years ago, and it's a nice place. Beach, some good food, so it's a little nice vacation destination.
Maybe he should have put Texas sports suck.
Yeah, that would make more sense, but he's just assuming all of this about an entire state where I know we have some fans. So our fans in Texas, thank you for listening. I have enjoyed my time in your state.
You know, as have I. I've been to Houston a few times, but you know, no hard feelings. I come from South Dakota, so what can I talk smack about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and speaking of the frigid North, the Raptors, they came to town last week, and the Suns came away with a win against the second best team in the East. Final score 99-91. The Suns held the Raptors to 40 points in the first half, which makes that the best defensive first half the Suns have put together this season. So, you can tell both teams were playing the back end of back-to-backs in this one, and the Suns only put up 42 in the first half, but hey, that's 2 more than they did. And anyways, a win is a win. And it's nice to see the Suns show some grit in a game like this. And both teams were led by their impressive backcourt duos. The Raptors had DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry score 24 points apiece, while the Suns had Bledsoe score 22 and Booker had 19. And Booker put up 9 of those 19 in the fourth quarter to really help seal the victory for the Suns. So, Mitch, stat of the game.
Okay, I am going to be a downer again, unfortunately. We won, it was great, but we are noticing some more trends with our assist issues. The Suns' front court had 2 total assists. Chris had 0. Tucker had 0. Chandler had 1. Bender had 0. Warren had 1. And Len had 0. Our guards are doing a little bit better job than the front court when it comes to assists, which is expected. But at the same time, you need to have post players who can make a pass to a made shot, most likely from 3. A lot of times you can throw the ball into the low post, get a double team, throw the ball out, and have a made 3 there. So it's not. This is a two-sided kind of thing. The post players have to be able to pass the ball better, yes. But another thing that's happening is we're just missing a ton of shots. So even when they do make these passes, we can't capitalize. So it's both sides' fault. So yeah, front court not great at passing, and our shooting can improve quite a bit as well.
Absolutely. And one note, when we do throw the ball into the post, the defense isn't worried about our guy scoring on them in the post.
Exactly.
We don't have that back to the basket post player that needs to draw a double team. And when those double teams come, that obviously leaves the shooter open on the perimeter. And I mean, even if that does happen, we're not knocking down threes. So, but we're going to keep talking about assists when I move into my stat of the game. And whenever Eric Bledsoe puts up 10 or more assists, it's going to be my stat of the game. He's put up 10 or more in 3 games this season, and we've won 2 out of those 3. And I've said this before, but I think Bledsoe has a chance to turn into an all-star point guard, even in this crowded West, sometime in his career, and this is the step he has to take to do it. And it's really nice to see him shoot an efficient 9 for 14 from the floor to go along with these 10 assists. But the one troubling thing from this game would have to be his assist to turnover ratio. With those 10 assists came 8 turnovers, which it makes me feel a little queasy. But let's just call that an outlier for this game and try to forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite a bit above his average, too. He's averaging just a little over 3 turnovers per game, which isn't great, but, I mean, it is an outlier.
Right. Okay, let's just keep moving things along here. And this one was in Utah against the Jazz, and the Suns dropped this one by a final score of 91-86. And this was a good game with the lead changing hands a ton of times throughout this one. And so I was on a plane back home to Arizona during this one, and I only got to catch the first quarter at the airport before we boarded the flight. And I received a solid piece of advice once, and it was to not talk about things that you don't know about. So I'll admit I didn't catch a ton of this one, so I'm just going to read off what stood out from the box score. Gordon Hayward and Rudy Gobert led the way for the Jazz, scoring 18 points on some very efficient shooting between the two. Gobert also pulled down 13 rebounds and had 3 blocks. That dude's always causing trouble for the opposition under the rim. And once again, the Suns were led by the backcourt duo of Book and Bled. Book had 20, and Bledsoe had 19 with 8 assists. But speaking of Booker, that leads me right into my stat of the game. Devin Booker had an insane start to this one, going 8 for 10 from the floor and scoring 18 points in that first 12 minutes of the game. And this was the part I got to watch while relaxing at the airport bar. But once we landed and I pulled up that box score while I was sitting on the plane, I was very surprised to see how he ended this one. In the final 3 quarters, Booker went 1 for 9 from the floor and only scored 2 more points to end up with those 20. So I'm glad I didn't have to watch him struggle through those last 3 quarters, but it would have been nice to see some other guys step up to make up for that cold streak. And Barbosa did chip in 12 points in 13 minutes, but that just wasn't quite enough to get the Suns past the Jazz.
Yeah, and Booker's frustrations were very visible in this game. A little later on in the game, he was kind of fighting for a ball with Rudy Gobert that was heading out of bounds, and the ball ended up being given to the Jazz, and Booker was not very happy with that. He grabbed the ball, Gobert said something to him, and he threw the ball right at Gobert. I mean, that's just something that is a mistake that Booker made out of frustration. It doesn't really matter what someone says to you. You shouldn't throw a ball at them. He was very visibly frustrated, and hopefully he can get that turned around.
You know, I like to see that out of a young guy like Booker, but not right now, not on this team, not this season.
Right. We don't need that.
You can tell the refs have a short whistle with us. They'll if we're talking back, they'll tee us up. Marquise Chris has picked up plenty of tees already this season. We've seen this happen. So nice to see Booker get a little chippy. Glad. Did they get double tees?
I think just Booker.
Just Booker. Yeah, you know.
I could be wrong on that. I had the volume off because I didn't want to listen to the Jazz commentators.
I hear you there. They're pretty rough to listen to. Yeah. I'll just keep it at that. Okay, now let's break things up a little bit and talk about what our New Year's resolutions are for the Suns. And the idea of this is we're going to pick a couple things that we would really like to see the Suns change or improve on for the rest of the season. And as much as I'd like to say, Devin Booker needs to score 30 points per game and Big Sauce deserves a starting spot. We'll keep it realistic, and hopefully we actually see these happen by the end of the season. All right, Mitch, what is your New Year's resolution for the Suns?
Yeah, so when I make New Year's resolutions personally, I like to do things that I know are easily achievable but are still a good challenge. And I like to have set things that I'm really trying to do. For instance, 2 years ago, so 2015, my New Year's resolution was to floss every day. That's something that, you do it in the morning and you do it at night, and I've done that since then. Last year, it was to quit biting my fingernails, and I haven't done that for a year. It's got to be very simple things that you want to change. So for the Suns, I want to look at some stats, some solid numbers. Right now, we average 18.2 assists per game, which is the lowest in the NBA. I want to raise that to 19 per game. I think that's very doable. It's a stepping stone. It's a goal that is in sight, and it's achievable. But still, we're going to have to really work on making better passes and hitting open shots. And then along with that, we currently average 15.5 turnovers per game, and I want to lower that to 15 per game. So that one could be tough as well, but again, I think it's doable.
Yeah, those are totally achievable. And, those are the two biggest downfalls in the Suns game. And if we were to turn those around, even by the little amount that you're suggesting, the difference would be visible, I think. It'd be a lot easier and much more enjoyable to sit through a whole game that way.
Yeah, and then it just starts building good habits, and it's something that they'll continue to do and continue to improve.
Absolutely, just like flossing.
Exactly, yeah. Flossing every day is the way to go. I don't know if it actually adds 5 years to your life or whatever, but when you pull all that gunk out of your teeth, it feels a lot better, at least.
It feels good. Do you use the actual dental floss, or do you use those like little picks?
I use actual floss, and I guess we can call this my non-sports related plug built in here. Crest Glide mint flavored floss. It's green, comes in a 2-pack sometimes. Best floss on the market. Love that stuff.
See, I like the little flosser pick deals, and it kind of has like a plastic toothpick built into it. Mm-hmm. They're a little more spendy, obviously, but the convenience, I just really like having those.
Those are nice, and I use those sometimes, but just regular old floss is the way I like to go.
Maybe I should do that, and then keep the picks as like a little treat.
There you go.
Something to look like, maybe a weekend type thing.
Something to look forward to.
See, there you go.
Okay, well, what's your New Year's resolution for the Suns?
Okay, mine is simply to play the rookies for a combined 50 minutes per game for the rest of the season. So right now, Chris averages 17, Bender averages 12, and Ulis averages 9, which that's 38 minutes. So I want to see them, this is a little lofty now that I think about it, but a combined 12 more minutes per game. And I think once we see the trade deadline come and go, maybe that will shift some things up and they'll be playing more than 50 minutes per game. Or maybe we say, hey, it's really time to fire up that tank, and we let those guys just go crazy. So, either way, whichever happens, I'd really just like to see those guys get more consistent minutes. And I'm looking at this right here. David kindly left us a note for his New Year's resolution, and he wants to see Bender's minutes surpass Chris's minutes. And then he'd also like to see more consistent time for Ulis next to Bled and Book. So I'd like to see Ulis at the point, Bledsoe at the 2, Booker at the 3. I really like that. But Bender, I think he brings more to the table than Chris. And it's not the explosive dunks. It's not the 40-inch vertical leap or whatever Chris has. It's just all those little things. Like in this Houston game, I read off all those stats. He stuffed the stat sheet. I mean, it was 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, or whatever it was. But he just does a little bit of everything, and we don't see that from Chris right now. So I think overall, Bender would be a better guy on the court, seeing more minutes.
Yeah, and I agree with that, especially just because Chris is so frustrated and all the foul trouble and technicals and everything like that. I think that giving him a few less minutes and giving Bender some more minutes could really help with that. I mean, these two are going to grow together as well. So I really like just your resolution of playing the rookies for 50 minutes combined, even if that means, you said right now we would need 12 more minutes to get to that. Even if we're giving Bender 7 more of those 12 minutes, I think that would be great. It's going to be great to see them grow together, but I think at this point we might be better off giving Bender more minutes than Chris, like David has suggested.
Right. Man, what a guy that David is. He's not even here, and he's helping us live through the recording. He's on his way to LA right now, sitting in the car. He's got the phone out, and he's just so excited he has to do something to take his mind off smelling Dangelo Russell. So he's doing what he can from the road.
Well, and it's hard because I'm sure he's going back and forth between his Dangelo tracker app and this Google Doc that we use.
Right.
I mean, he's got to keep tabs on his location, D'Angelo's location, but, he wants to contribute, so it's a toss-up, I guess, and I'm glad to see that he gives this podcast a little priority.
Right, and did you know that that D'Angelo tracker app, it was a Kickstarter? David... He donated his life savings to get that thing up and running. So, I it's like it's just going to be a proud moment for him once he gets down to LA and gets to use that today. I'm really happy for the guy. Okay, I know that I'd love to rag on David a little more, and Mitch probably would too, but we'll keep this baby quick, and let's talk about some game previews coming up. And it looks like there's only going to be 2 games this week before we're back with another episode. So, first off, the Suns host the Heat. And after that, they travel to David's favorite state, Texas, to take on the Mavericks. So, Mitch, what are you looking forward to in either of these games?
Well, so I'm interested in the Heat game because there's been talk of, are the Heat tanking? And our friends at the Drive and Dish podcast recently had a podcast specifically about that. So go check out the Drive and Dish podcast to learn more about the Heat and just all NBA stuff. Those guys are great. But, I think these are 2 winnable games. The Heat are a way different team this year, and the Mavericks are somehow worse than us. So I'm looking forward to both of them.
Yeah, and... I'm just looking at the Heat's box score, their last game against the Pistons. Goran Dragic got the DNP coach's decision. Whiteside out with an injury. Winslow out with an injury. McRoberts out with an injury. So they're starting guys like Babbitt, Ellington, this McGruder guy. I'm a pretty solid NBA fan, and I do not know much about him.
Nope.
So we're looking, and like Udonis Haslem picks up 21 minutes in a game. That guy, he's old. He's been there a long time.
Right.
What are they doing? I'm interested to see, and I wonder what I'd really like to know how Dragic feels about this whole deal.
I know it.
I wonder if he'll get to play when he comes back here, and I wonder if he still has that, wants to get some revenge on the Suns, or if he's just defeated now.
I'm sure he still wants revenge on the Suns. And
yeah,
I get the feeling he will play.
Okay, and then the Mavericks, they're tied with us, 10-24 on the year right now. And man, what can you say about him? It seems like they bring in Harrison Barnes, and everyone thought, is this really the best move that they can make? And I mean, it's tough to tell. I was expecting a little bit more out of the Mavericks this season.
Yeah, and I've been watching a lot more Shark Tank lately, and this is not what Mark Cuban wants at all. I mean, it's not what anyone wants, but especially Mark Cuban. Like, come on. And speaking of, I have some pretty good ideas. So if anyone knows how to get on Shark Tank, let me know.
Yeah, I think, whatever you come up with, if you put David on your marketing team for it, like if David's the pitch man, I'd say you're going to be pretty successful.
Yeah, maybe we'll pitch this Dangelo tracker. It's kind of like it was just Christmas. We've got those Santa trackers. I know DirecTV had a whole channel devoted to that. I mean, maybe we can turn Dangelo tracker into something like that.
I like it. Well, I told you the Dangelo tracker is already funded by David's life savings. So
right, that's right. But I mean, still, we can have investors.
Well, and we can expand a Booker watch.
Booker watch, yeah.
Dude, that's something I can get behind there.
Yeah, or even just a wristwatch with Devin Booker's face on it. I'd get behind that. Booker watch.
Yeah. See, we just got to keep. Yeah, after this podcast, Mitch, we're gonna stay on and we're gonna write down. We're gonna brainstorm, man.
Yeah, and when Mark Cuban listens to this, maybe he'll just invest without us even having to go on the show.
Right. That'd just be a hassle. Like,
yeah, just a waste of time for both of us.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I mean, Dirk's only played in 9 games this season, and Barea has only played in 11. Barea is not the greatest player, but I mean, you need someone at point guard, so they're missing him. And man, who's going to have the better year, us or the Mavericks, when it's all said and done?
I mean, I would like to say us. I'm leaning towards us, but ask me after the trade deadline.
There we go. That will answer some questions. And speaking of another team, just real quick here, that was kind of in the dumpster but coming back hot. The Pelicans they're on fire lately. They're 14-21. They've been making up ground. I think they're just out of the 8 seed or the 8 seed right now. It's very early, but I mean, they're there, and they got my dude, Donatas Motiejunas. And they got him on a vet's minimum, and he's just there now. And that might be a nice power forward for them to come off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Motiejunas situation was so interesting. He was just like in limbo for a year, basically, not doing anything.
Right, and I'm pretty sure he could have just stuck around and made really solid money, but now he's on a veteran minimum deal, but he's getting the minutes, and that's obviously what he wants, which is really nice to see, if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Any final quotes from David before we wrap this thing up? I don't know. Oh, yeah, here's one more that we missed. James Harden is the black Steve Nash. That's from the Rockets game.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. Another David quote. It wouldn't be an episode of Sunny in Phoenix without "Words are hard."
Words are hard. Yeah. Oh, David, we miss you, buddy. We hope you get a nice whiff of Dangelo today. And with that, I think we just got to end this thing. Be sure to check us out on social media. Twitter handle is @SunnyandPHXPod. Find us on Facebook under the name Phoenix Suns, multiple sources. Our email is sunnyandphxpod@gmail.com. Head over to the website at sunnyandphxpod.com and the entire multiple sources blog and podcast network. We'll see you again next week. Go Suns, and happy birthday, Natalie.
All right.
Are you ready? Oh, yeah.